my friends, I am Rob, the Dungeon Tutor, also Omnisci on YouTube, and today is the 10th day of RPGaDay 2022. This is the 10th of August. August is when we fill our days with making videos or posts of some sort, blogs perhaps, on the topics that we're given for the day, and which you can see at the entrance of this video, or if you go to RPGaDay.com. And what the intention of this is to tell stories or anecdotes or share perspectives on elements that bring the community together and uplift it a bit, to stop us from having to dwell in a morass of negativity and all the just things that bring you down that any society might have, but our gaming group does collect some of this too, so it's better to have a positive force. Today's question is, when did or will you start game mastering? Why is this important? Because one player can be an island unto themselves, and you can play a solo RPG. I know, I've tried it. But a game master can satisfy a number of people, anywhere from one other person to, I've been told, as many as 50, but I would be scared to run for a group that big. The biggest I've done myself is 11, and that was a trip. That was a trip. But I generally try to keep my group between 4 and 6 is optimal, I find. When will I start, or when did I start? I started from the very beginning, because quite honestly, nobody else was there to run games for me. It started back in the summer of my freshman year of high school, before I actually started the freshman year. I had a friend who, liked games and the like, and he was going to go off to a seminary the freshman year. But when he went to the preliminary, the trial, he played games with some of the other people, brought back some ideas. I got excited about some of those ideas and stuff, and at the time, Back Me Dungeons & Dragons, the red box came out, and I asked for it for my birthday and got it. And as he got in touch with me, he was more and more excited about this role-playing stuff. I found a group, and I was playing Advanced Dungeons & Dragons myself before I actually went off to that seminary. And that was my first time playing with other people, so I learned a lot about other people's styles. I didn't run for that particular group because I was green, but it was very, very entertaining and very informative on exactly what went into it. After my freshman year, I also went off to the seminary following my friend, and that went kind of sideways because he left fairly early. So I was left with the group that he had introduced me to, who later became some of my best friends. And in that time, which is pretty interesting, a lot of the people that I met were through role-playing games. One of the first people that I met outside of the people that I had been introduced to was a guy named Toby. And he noticed that I was sitting at my desk, I was reading through the expert set, the blue box material for Dungeons & Dragons, for, again, Back Me. And he's like, "Oh, hey, do you play?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I do." He's like, "Oh, do you have a character?" I said, "Well, yes, I do, actually. I had a character, a cleric. I think I had gotten up to 21st level because we were giving ourselves a level every adventure rather than keeping track of hit experience, for the most part. So there was one or two we actually leveled up a couple of times. So we played several modules, and I think I got up to like 21st, 22nd level. And he's like, "Well, would you like to take a crack at the dungeon I've got?" Sure. I mean, my character is a very powerful cleric. I have some really nice magical items. Yeah, sure, why not? And he pulled out a module, and it was a Dragonlance module about going into the fortress of Lord Soth. Oy. Soloing that. No, clerics are not that good at combat, and while I had some fun spells, most of them had magic resistance, and he didn't realize that magic resistance could scale. So it was just flat 90% your spells don't work. I'm like, ugh, this sucks. So I ran away from it. I had a magical item that I believe we got broken. There's a cornucopia that could absolutely, feed an army. So I just put it into high gear and filled corridors full of food, full of turkey and stuffing and bread rolls and stuff the Death Knights would slash at trying to get at me. Because my turning didn't work on them apparently too. So yeah, no, actually I could turn the Death Knights. It was Soth himself who eventually came, got really ticked off at me and got buried under a flood of food. And I just ran away. But it was there where, I was asked, do you want to run a game? And I'm like, yeah, I could run this. So we made up characters, first level. By the time I was asked not to leave at the end of that year, those characters were up to 11th and 12th level, playing Back Me Dungeons and Dragons. So, had I kept going to the seminary, we would have gone into another year of gaming way too much. Realistically, we played too much. It's fair to say. But we would have kept doing that. Would have kept going with the campaign further on. I had some ideas, but it did go and go and go and go. Did not have a concrete end. And yeah, that was the year 89 to 90. So that's really when I became game mastering in earnest. Now, after I got out of the seminary, I didn't, again, stuck in the wasteland of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan where I had very few people to play with. Again, didn't do a lot of it till I got to college. And then I found a group, and I got to sit back and be a player for a while. But after a while, there was a break in the action, and I got a chance to game master for other people, using all the new stuff that I had learned in college, too, from playing with this different group and their different, more narrative style of play that I found really resonated with me. It really did appeal. So I changed my style to be more narrative as a result, and continued on from that point on. I never stopped after that. As a matter of fact, one of the people at my table is one of those same people that I first played with back in the fall of 1992. So it's been quite a ride, I'll tell you that. 30 years with the same person. Boy, it almost seems, almost unbelievable at this point, but it's been that long. So, at any rate, that's my story. Hopefully it entertained you or maybe inspired you or whatnot. That wherever you are in the gaming spectrum, if you've been playing for some time, I highly recommend trying to be a game master for at least a little bit. Give your current game master a break, or maybe you'll find a real taste for it, and maybe you'll spin off amazing stories and form a really good bond with your group, and then you'll be able to try out all the crazy ideas you've got with them, which is really cool when you can do that. And if you're looking for a game to run for that, I highly recommend Gooey Cube's A Strangely Gooey Holiday, which I wrote. It's a great game. No, just it is a good game, but I'm just kidding. There's lots of great games out there, but honestly, if you were going to start somewhere, the Gooey Cube stuff is pretty good to start with because it can really spoil your players with all the stuff it's got. But so if you're just starting out as a game master, I might recommend taking a look at it. But at any rate, my friends, thank you so much for joining me. I am Rob the Dungeon Tutor, or Omnisci, and I really do thank you for joining me. Listening to an old guy like me ramble on can be a little bit rough sometimes, I'm sure, and you've put up with it, so bonus points for you. But, and don't forget this, my friends, as far as game masters go, there are great game masters, there are adequate game masters, there are even some poor game masters, but all of them took up the mantle to try, and I hope that someday all the people who get to expose themselves to role-playing games get a chance to be that person at the end of the table that everybody else looks to tell a great story. If you aren't good at it, that's fine, try it, but I'm really proud when I see somebody step up to the mat and play, and even if they run a pre-made module or something, it can be great just watching people taking their first steps. And if there are disasters along the way, I've seen some disastrous games, at least you've got good stories to tell, and maybe you can work with that game master and make them better, help them out. But so if you like this and want to make your own videos, RPG.com has the graphic I have in the front of my video with all the questions on it. feel free. Make a video yourself, or share a blog post, or maybe even just write out something on social media and your thoughts about, when you want to start game mastering, or if you'll ever game master, or if you've been game mastering for a while. It is cool to see how many people have been doing this for ages and take a look at how they do it. Almost always that comes with lessons that have been learned, hard, painful lessons maybe some great things that worked and they keep going to, and that opportunity might afford you a glimpse in how you can perfect your own style. But if you'd like to talk to me about it, feel free to talk in the comments below, or check out some of my old videos, because I've been talking about game mastering almost since 2016 when I started my Lair of Omnici channel. Many of the topics I bring up are about game mastering and game mastering principles, so there's a lot there. So if you haven't seen any of that stuff before, I invite you to check it out. It's up to you, but it would be nice. Also, if you want to talk about it on social media, my Facebook group is Dungeon Tutor, and I do have an Omnici page you can send messages to through there. And of course the comments below is a great place too. I'd love to see comments in my videos. But I do, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for joining me. And hopefully I'll see you in future videos, like tomorrow's video. But until then, my friend, thank you and farewell.